magnitude 6.4 earthquake near the mysterious underwater volcano that is erupting. Titan Ridge was almost unknown to most people until May, and then it got that Titan Ridge name. It's not a volcano that you can stand on. It's not a mountain with cameras on the crater, but that makes it so dangerous if you do not see what is going on, because these underwater volcanoes can create dangerous tsunamis. It's a hidden volcanic ridge under the Bismarck Sea north of Papua New Guinea, and that is where we had that 6.4 earthquake just now. This is a place where the seafloor is so poorly mapped that scientists still do not know the exact shape of the erupting structure that is down there, Titan Ridge. So it was identified from an old submarine activity in this region, especially the 1972 eruption signals. But this new eruption only became obvious when satellites started seeing these strange signs in the water on the ocean surface. Water discoloration, the pumice that it then produced are these brimstone-like volcanic little stones that are grayish, beige, sandy colored, that float on the water and then also have washed on shore. And that is dangerous for boats because they can really clog your engine. So what volcanic ash is in the air for airplanes, pumice, it's really bad. It can create a whole carpet on the ocean. Of course, they also saw on the satellite images that there was steam and gas rising from the sea. And you see on the satellite images this green discolored water that is spreading outwards from the eruption. And the pumice was floating with the currents, but also heat signals were appearing where there basically should only be ocean. That is how this volcano was found again, but not by people that were looking into a crater, I want to say that, but by satellites that were watching the sea change the color. After weeks of eruption, Titan Ridge seemed to fade. The official report said activity had dropped to very low levels. This was like, okay, we are relieved. It's not building a big cone that could collapse and then displace a lot of water. So no volcanic seismic activity had been detected for more than a month. The pumice rafts were breaking apart. I didn't report about it anymore. Surface looked calmer. But now that quiet phase has been interrupted. We have a very shallow magnitude 6.4 earthquake that struck near the same Bismarck Sea tectonic zone. And that changes a little bit the narrative and also the question that you probably will have. So, of course, it's not that Titan Ridge is violently erupting right now and making a lot of headlines. No, but this was a strong tectonic rupture. So that could have shaken, or it has shaken, a recently very active underwater volcano that we still cannot fully see and not fully know what it really is. So the dangerous threshold here is not the earthquake itself, but whether the ocean surface changes after this. So this earthquake struck July 13th, southeast of Lorengau. You see it on the map there in Papua New Guinea. USGS has it at 6.4, around 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles deep. That's important because shallow ocean quakes transfer stress into the upper crust close to the seafloor. And this is where we have Titan Ridge eruption, right? The epicenter was not directly on top of the listed Titan Ridge. Coordinates, it was roughly 85 kilometers or 53 miles southeast of that mapped Titan Ridge volcano position. So no, the volcano didn't cause the earthquake. I'm pretty sure that is what I want to say. But we can say that this is a major shallow quake that is hitting or hit that same Bismarck tectonic area where Titan Ridge also started erupting. And we know that, right? We have like tectonic boundaries. We do have volcanoes there, and we should pay attention to this. This is not a quiet ocean basin where all of this is happening. This is quite an interesting geological feature that we're dealing with here. This is near a plate boundary puzzle, I would say. The 1972 submarine eruption signals in this area, we know where they come from, and that's interesting. They came from the junction of two different plate boundary segments. One is a transform fault system, the other is an oblique spreading zone, basically where the seafloor is being pulled apart at an angle. So that means the crust here is not simply sliding, it's not simply opening, and it is also not simply subducting. It's quite interesting. It's being twisted, it's being stretched, it's being cut, and at the same time it's being rebuilt. So this is a setting where earthquakes and magma can basically share these same weak zones. And when we look at the moment tensor, that beach ball that the USGS has released about that 6.4 earthquake, that beach ball actually supports that this is a tectonic earthquake. Beach ball does not look like a clean volcanic explosion signal or something like this. It shows us a fault motion, oblique strike slip with a normal component. So what does that mean? That means I can tell you that rock moved along a fault line with a sideways motion and some extension. So that absolutely fits the setting that we have here in the Bismarck Sea, right? So this does not prove that magma suddenly moved and that the volcano is like exploding or accelerating. Also, it does not prove that there was a caldera collapse or anything happening. But definitely it's evidence that we do have a strong shallow rupture near a volcanic ridge that just erupted. So, and that builds tension because although I say it's tectonic, it's not irrelevant to the volcano. This shallow quake can change the pressure in that surrounding crust, and it can open or close fractures, open new fractures, old fractures, close old fractures. So it can disturb hydrothermal pathways. It can disturb the plumbing system that is underneath Titan Ridge. So it can clog it, for example. So energy pressure can build up. So we could see something, if that's the case, in the next few days, right? It can also shake loose unstable volcanic material, and we have quite a lot of that usually in underwater volcanoes. And if we're dealing with a submarine field, that is very important because the structure is hidden underneath the ocean. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what is unstable or how this structure looks. And this is not the first earthquake that we see in this area. Magnitude 5.4 occurred on May 15th. Magnitude 5.7 happened near the eruption site on May 22nd. And then the eruption changed again. The activity weakened, the hydroacoustic signals declined. So this 6.4 does not happen during the peak eruption phase of Titan Ridge. Basically, it happened after a quiet phase. So that's why I know it makes it more suspicious to many of my viewers and also more scientifically interesting. And I'll explain to you why in a second. You might think it's maybe the opposite. No, it's not. Because a volcano can look calm at the surface while the seafloor around the volcano is still adjusting. So the eruption may have dropped below the detection threshold, but we know, okay, the surface plume may have weakened, the pumice may have dispersed. We still see discolored water on satellite images, but that doesn't mean that the crust suddenly becomes very easy to deal with, I have to say. Because that same ridge system, that's the same fault system, and the same magma-heated submarine environment, it's all still there. didn't go away. So now we have that strong quake that hit that system. You see the map, how far widespread this was felt till Lorengo, right? So a direct link to renewed volcanic activity cannot be proven right now because we don't see it. So the earthquake struck close enough to this volcano that the next round of satellite images and acoustic data are very interesting. I can't wait to see them because then we know if there is some change. So if the satellite imagery, let's say, will continue to show only small patches of discolored water, then the quake may have passed through the system without reactivating the eruption. But if the hydroacoustic signals rise again, then something underwater has changed from that earthquake. Then if we have a new steam puff that suddenly appears, that then really becomes more interesting and important than it would have been a week ago. So if the thermal anomalies return, that suggests that we would have fresh, hot material, again, close to the surface. And then if we see pumice appearing again in new areas, then we know the seafloor is still producing new material. You know, on land, if we have a magnitude 6.4 near a quiet volcano, it would be concerning. We had the megathrust earthquake in Kamchatka and we had volcanoes erupting after that. Under the ocean, near a recent submarine eruption, this really all becomes way harder to judge. If there is damage, the ocean hides it. We cannot see it. So let's say if the quake might have shaken loose part of that growing volcanic structure, the first sign may not be immediate. We might not see it yet. It could have changed fractures underneath Titan Ridge. The response may come later. This is the thing. So if nothing changes, then it was a strong tectonic quake in a very active zone. So the next few days, we have to wait what the data will tell us. If one of these signals that Titan Ridge has shown returns, then it changes the story again, definitely for that volcano and for the eruption. So, of course, I will keep you updated about this. And if you want to see what happened at Campi Flegrei, when I saw the image, I was like, oh, wow. So look at that. Very, very interesting video with the latest. So we can say something escalated at the volcano near Naples, Italy. 6 million people live close to the volcano or on the volcano. And in the new images that I show you, you'll see how close. And what happened at the Solfatara crater, very strange, because we also have new measurements. So check out that video. It's highly, highly interesting. So I see you there. Stay safe and prepared as always. If you want to support the channel, guys, there's a link in the description. You can buy me coffee, fill me up to keep me going. Thanks to everyone who's doing this. Thanks to everyone who's clicking the join button and supports the channel with a membership, and you're getting private videos from me behind the scenes about my private life. Thanks for that, and thank you for the supers that you're giving me. I have some long-term supporters. It's amazing, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It helps a lot. So I'll see you in the next one in a second. Bye-bye.